Now, did you know that the hit single, I'm Missing You, was originally sung by R&B singer Joe? And that there was allegedly a tug of war over which artist could release it and where they could release it? According to an interview with Tim and Bob on the Halftime Chat. Let's get into it. In late 1999, Joe was in Atlanta working with production duo Tim and Bob on a song they had all co-written for his upcoming third album, My Name is Joe. Among the songs they created was one called I'm Missing You, which spoke of a man who was deep in his emotions behind a relationship that had ended. Joe recorded the song and intended for it to make the album cut. However, his manager at the time, Kedar Massenberg, felt that the song wouldn't be a smash hit on the radio. Ironically, the same thing happened with Aaliyah's Miss You record the exact same year. But I digress. Months would go by and Tim and Bob were going over some of their records in the studio when the Missing You record played on the speakers. An A&R for Def Jam named Jojo Brim overheard it and inquired about it. When Tim and Bob informed him that Joe's people weren't impressed by it, Jojo called his people and requested that R&B singer Case have the record, and they vowed to fly him out immediately as they just knew he would sound amazing on this song. Plus, Def Jam was handling all the production on the upcoming Nutty Professor 2 soundtrack, and with a nice-sized cash advancement, they were in search of all kinds of potential hit records from their artists to be featured on the soundtrack. So they drew up a deal, agreed to the terms, and Case would be flown out to LA to record the song. But there was just one problem. Case had come down with a bad case of laryngitis, and it didn't help that he was recording behind Joe, a top-tier vocalist, so the pressure was on for him to deliver. According to his interview on the R&B Money podcast, he kept pushing back the days to record as his voice recovered. First it was Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, and now Thursday, and his voice was finally back. But on Thursday, he had to run up to Ja Rule's studio in Burbank to lay down vocals for Living It Up, which would go on to become another smash hit record in its own right. But after recording that song and hanging out and partying afterwards, he lost his speaking voice, but could still sing a little bit. Friday morning rolled around and they basically told him, hey, you either cut this record today or you can't have it. And knowing that everything was kind of riding on him getting this spot on the soundtrack, he would go in and give it all he had, but he was only able to do 2 takes. And by the end of the second take, he announced, I can't sing no more, which the producers left those words on the song as it made for the perfect outro. But even with his vocal situation at the time, everyone in the studio loved it, and they felt that he sang it better than Joe, as his version had more depth and emotion to it. This new recording was sure to be a perfect addition to the Nutty Professor soundtrack. But where one problem was solved, another big problem had just been created. Kedar Massenberg and Joe's team were livid at Case and Tim and Bob, as they never officially passed on the record. They simply said that radio might not play it, meaning it wasn't a hit single, but we still got a whole album we trying to put out. And so his record, Jive, would go into litigation with Case's label, Def Jam, and things got pretty intense. But in the end, it was determined that Joe's version will be released on the European version of his third album, but not in the States, whereas Case's version could be released on the US version of the Nutty Professor 2 soundtrack, but not on any other version. Also, Joe's version was called I'm Missing You, and Case's was shortened to Missing You. Now, when released, My Name is Joe was a mega success, going triple platinum in the States. Overseas, it went gold, and many of the songs on there, I'm Missing You included, managed to chart. Lyrically, the song conveys the deep longing and emotional void felt after a breakup, using metaphors like a cold summer afternoon and the snow coming down in June to illustrate the unusual and incomplete nature of life without your lady. Man, this song was beautifully written. Lyrics like I'm the desert without the sand, whew, that cut deep. The only thing that trips me up is the line that says you're the woman without the man, which is a bit presumptuous, don't you think? Who's to say old girl ain't bagged no other dude? I mean, nowadays, shorties move on like that. So to say you're the woman without a man, we don't know that for real. We don't know that for sure. All I know is, in this song, you're the one missing her, not the other way around. Now, when the Nutty Professor 2 soundtrack dropped, it went platinum in the States and had a slew of hits. But listeners immediately took to Case's version of the song, and it quickly grew in popular media in the States, with little to no knowledge of Joe's version. The demand for Case was so high that the song would go on to jumpstart the recording of his third album, called Open Letter, and would be released as the album's official first single in February of 2001. Now, Tim from Tim and Bob expressed on an interview with Georgia Muscle Films that the cash advance from the soundtrack and extra time gave them room to add more musical elements to Case's version, which is why his sounds more theatrical, if you will. Now, musically, both versions of the song are built around the sample of Randy Brown's I'd Rather Hurt Myself Than Hurt You. For the beat itself, they'd rehashed the drum pattern and bass line from The Payback by James Brown. This beat had been used on many R&B hits like Total and Biggie's Can't You See and Mary J. Blige's Everything. While Joe's version of the song is more chilled, laid back with a nice mellow groove in the instrumentation on the hook, almost like a feeling of, dang, I let her slip away and now I'm missing her. Let me sing my tune and get it off my chest real fast. Whereas Case's version is more of that passionate, yearning, I'm singing outside your doorstep in the pouring rain, meanwhile you ain't even home type of energy. You know what I'm saying? And that breakdown, that yeah, 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 yeah. Now they better not try to copyright me on that. Okay, because on my Tamia video where I sang acapella, they got me for it. They dinged me for the melody. So YouTube, if you try to come for me over some yeah, 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 you try to copyright that, I'm on your head. Alright, just so you know, just so we're clear, okay? Anyways, that yeah, yeah, that groaning on the breakdown is definitely what genuine raw emotion sounds like. Far from melodic, it's almost jarring. Like, yeah, this is some serious pain. It really draws the listener in. It really just conjures up the emotion, makes you want to yell it out, just let it out. That yeah, yeah, and just kind of, I'm in pain, I'm missing you. Don't you hear me? Don't you hear me yelling? Sounding like a dying cat outside. Don't you hear that? You hear me outside your window. You hear me on your Ring camera. You hear me yelling, yeah, yeah. Come on, I'm missing you. Come back. What you doing? And though it's believed by some that Joe's background vocals were left on Case's version, those vocals were actually sang by Grimico Collins. Now, Missin' You was praised for its vulnerability, particularly from an artist like Case, who had a street edge and was one of few R&B acts on Def Jam, which was a rap-dominated label, and it's been argued that men being poetically emotional in music and reaching out to grab the air is what's been lacking in popular music these days. Okay, the music video captures this perfectly as he's walking through the desert sand and experiencing flashbacks of a past lover, emphasizing the feeling of a painful loss and desire to reconnect with her. When released, the song would become the most known and widely recognized version, spending 4 weeks at number 1 on the US R&B chart. It became his biggest solo hit and would even be nominated for Best R&B Vocal Performance, Male, at the 2002 Grammy Awards, but lost to Usher's You Remind Me, which I got to do a story on that one as well. Now, we know that music is the gift that keeps on giving and keeps on musicking, if that's a word. But yeah, the song was covered by jazz artist George Benson in 2003. The song's lyrics were also sampled by gospel artist Dietrich Haddon on his song Reveal My Heart in 2008. Which, when I heard that song back then, I was like, why is Dietrich singing a line from a secular song? And I ain't gonna lie, it did seem kind of out of place until I realized that that particular song was also produced by Tim and Bob. So it was almost like an ode to them. Missin' You's instrumentation would also be sampled on later songs like All Night Long by YFN Lucci, featuring Trey Songz in 2019, Fades Away from 318 Tay's Chill Sessions in 2022, and on the song SOS by British rap artist Jim Legacy in 2025. I love the continuations of the song and how one creation gives birth to another creation and so on and so forth. I mean, this song and its lyrics is just beautiful, period. Now, over the years, both Case and Joe have covered the song live numerous times, as well as their hit together called Faded Pictures that they had recorded the year before Missin' You had came out. And though Case's version of the song Missin' You will go down in history as the most successful version, making him essentially the winner of the battle, Joe would win the war because he co-wrote the song. So he gets paid anytime the song gets played, no matter who's singing it. Okay then, okay then. But yeah, that's a little tidbit for y'all. Let me know if y'all want me to keep doing videos on topics like these where a song was made for one artist but ended up being a hit for another artist. Because you know I got plenty of those. Alright? But this is Justified by Jury. Y'all know how to hit that like and y'all know how to hit that subscribe. If you want to, do so. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. We got many more coming out, so stay tuned. Just stay with me. Don't go nowhere. We got them coming. Let's go. I would sing a part of the song as the outro, but I ain't trying to get dinged no more. So we just going to stick to the facts and just kind of keep it pushing like that. All right. Okay.